Today, let's explore trigonometry a little more. Remember Sohcahtoa? Sohcahtoa is a name that stands for 3 of the 6 trigonometric ratios within a right angle triangle. In this triangle, sine phi is equal to the opposite over the hypotenuse. The cosine of phi is equal to the adjacent over the hypotenuse. And finally, the tangent of phi is equal to the opposite over the adjacent. But what if we did a full 180 and looked at the opposites of these ratios? How would that work? Let's start with the opposite of sine phi. The opposite of sine phi is called the cosecant of phi, or for short, the cosec of angle phi. So, sine phi equals the opposite over the hypotenuse. But cosecant phi is equal to the hypotenuse over the opposite. As you can see, the ratio of cosecant phi is the reciprocal of the ratio of sine phi. Now, what about the reciprocal of the cosine of angle phi? The reciprocal of the cosine of phi is called the secant of phi, or sec phi. The cosine of phi is equal to the adjacent over the hypotenuse. So, the secant of angle phi is equal to the hypotenuse over the adjacent. Lastly, let's look at the opposite of tangent phi. This is called the cotangent of angle phi, or for short, COT phi. The tangent of angle phi is equal to the opposite over the adjacent. So, the cotangent of angle phi is equal to the adjacent over the opposite. Let's review. In a right angle triangle, there are 6 trigonometric ratios: sine, cosine, and tangent, which we looked at in a previous video, and their opposites: cosecant, secant, and cotangent, which we just reviewed. Cosecant is equal to the hypotenuse over the opposite. Secant is equal to the hypotenuse over the adjacent. And finally, cotangent, which is equal to the adjacent over the opposite.